Good morning to you all from the United States, and good afternoon to you all to this One World Training session. Good afternoon to you in Europe. My name is Eppo Luppers. I work for 1WorldTraining as an ITIL 4 trainer, DevOps Scrum trainer, and one of the other things is I'm a subject matter expert on specific things like games like of business simulation, we like to say, of GamingWorks. GamingWorks is represented by Paul Wilkinson, and together we will be hosting this masterclass. As I said, I'm from 1WorldTraining, a global training company, offices in USA, the Netherlands, UK, India, Malaysia, in the Gulf region, and in South Africa. And we are working and providing training and consultancy on several subjects like ITIL 4, you've just mentioned, Chandra, project management, Agile, but also security like GDPR, DevOps, artificial intelligence, blockchain, and others. And we are proud to be endorsed by leading professional bodies such as Axelos, PeopleCert, GamingWorks, CCC, Axin, and DASA. Attitude, behavior, and culture is paramount in journeys to a high-performing digital organization. In business simulation, as you are going to see today, is an excellent way to achieve that goal and become a digital winner by experiencing new concepts and new ways of working. We will quickly go to Paul Wilkinson, and Paul, you will introduce yourself, hopefully, during your session. What I just want to make sure is that two very important things about the session of today. One, it is a small piece of what we normally do. I sent you an email this morning that normal sessions would likely to take place on a whole day, 6 to 8 hours, depending on the group size and depending on your goals. That's one thing. The second thing is we never sell a game as a standalone thing. That means that we, as I wrote this morning in the email as well, that we see the game as actually the part that is you can see, you can experience, but we have done a lot of pre-work, and we will also do a lot of post-work as part of the whole offering. That means that the game is never a standalone thing. The game is embedded in a intake, and what I usually also say, an outtake. And the outtake is most of the things is capturing the experience during the day that we do the game. Now, one of the things that Paul will also be doing is making sure, and I do that as well in my sessions, is making sure that there is sufficient time for doing the reflection afterwards. So basically what you're going to see now is an introduction into Marslander, and Marslander is especially fit to do this in combination either with a training or as part of a standalone session where you do your change management of your organization. I am very proud to introduce to you Paul Wilkinson. Paul Wilkinson, we have been around but when we put our ages together, we come easily to 120 years. And when we put our joint experience together, we easily come into 40 years. So I've known Paul for quite some time. But Paul is not only here as a representative of GamingWorks, Paul is also here as the CEO of a company called Space Y. So he will explain his role, and I hand over to Paul now so you can do what you need to do. So if you need to be host, I will make you host.
Yeah, I need to be able to share the screen. If you could do that.
Yeah, let me see how that works.
And then I'll do the quick.
Make host. Yes. You are host now.
Okay, I'll try and share my screen. Right, I can share screen.
Yep, that works.
Yeah, you can see my screen?
Yep.
Great.
I will go on mute and I will close my video to save bandwidth if that is necessary.
Okay, thanks everybody. We've got a very short 2-hour session today. As Eppo said, normally this is either a 4-hour half-day workshop or an 8-hour full-day workshop. So today we're just going to give you a flavor really of what is a simulation, why would you use this simulation, and what are the types of things you can take away. My name is Paul Wilkinson. My background, I was an author for ITIL 2. I was in the advisory group for ITIL 3, and I was in the architect team for ITIL practitioner. We build these business simulation games to help people translate the theory into practice and actually get value from using this stuff like ITIL. And one of the games we built is this, Marslander, particularly to teach people. ITIL 4 is this game. ITIL 3, we had another game called Apollo 13. So let me just tell you a bit about why we built this game. We built this game to help people solve ITIL 4 problems, adopt ITIL 4. These are the types of problems that we often see and the types of problems you can solve using this game. First, everybody seems to be doing DevOps and Agile, and DevOps Agile people complain, how can you make ITIL more agile? And that's why ITIL 4 was developed. So one way to play this game is to just show some awareness around ITIL. The next level is we often see people getting ITIL 4 certificates and then they come back and complain it's far too theoretical. We don't understand service value system, guiding principles, value streams. What is all that stuff? We're used to incidents, problems, changes. So often CIOs say we're not going to send everybody onto training, but everybody needs to know about ITIL 4. So we can often put the games in at this level. Next is this level, getting buy-in to ITIL from the Agile DevOps people. They probably won't go on ITIL training. A lot of them don't want to. They don't see the value. They think it's a waste of time, ITIL. So again, you can play the game with this target audience to show how the two frameworks work together. And finally, we can only really achieve the value of ITIL 4 if we engage the business. So often we also play this game with business people to get them to understand how they need to govern IT. So these are the different levels. We're going to explore some of these today. In the simulation, you play a company called SpaceY. I get to play the Chief Executive Officer or Mission Director. And in that role, I welcome people to the workshop. And I say, as you know, we work for a company called SpaceY. There's a lot of competition. NASA, SpaceX, China, India, Russia, even Abu Dhabi. Lots of people now have space programs, a lot of competition. We're not in the technology business, we're in the business of selling data. The first data we're selling is from a comet called Hardy 4. Then we're selling data from atmospheres of Mars. And finally, when we land on Mars, we are driving out a car called the Marslander, capturing data. And if we find signs of life on Mars, we'll sell it for millions and millions of dollars. So we sell data. You will be my mission control team. Normally this game we play in 3 game rounds. The first game round or sprint, meeting the comet Hardy 4, sending back data to mission control. Then we sell it. At the same time, we get requests for new products, new features. Game round 2 would be 2 orbits of Mars. And there you are, in game round 3, the little Marslander car would be used. Objectives of the simulation. As Eppo said, normally we would do an intake interview to find out exactly what people want to learn. Some of you said you want to know about the value of ITIL 4, what people think about ITIL 4, how we could use the ITIL 4. So normally we do a detailed intake, and these are some of the things we're going to be exploring. How does Agile, Lean, DevOps and ITIL 4 work together? What does it mean to our company and what can we take away and use? The other thing is we all have to work remotely. So this also teaches us in this online game how you can use remote tools. So we're going to be using a tool called Mural shortly. Maybe a little bit frustrating. We need to spend about 15, 20 minutes learning it. And you're going to have a tiny little bit of an exercise, hopefully, to show how you can communicate and collaborate as a team and show me how we can use ITIL 4. Who are these players? As I said, I'm the mission director. One of you would play the product owner, talking to the business, getting requests for new services, new products from my sales department, from my customer department. So the product owner will be putting work into the simulation, into the team. This is like my innovation manager. One of you will be my flight operations, business as usual manager, monitoring the spacecraft. And whenever anything's not working in the spacecraft, putting in incidents into the team. The team, one of you will play the service desk, trying to solve them. If you can't solve them, you can escalate to second level support systems engineer. If they can't solve them, they can escalate to app dev or the vendor as third level support. And finally, when we fix something, it will go through change and release management. So this is like my break, fix, value stream. The other one, the product owner, when they've got new features or applications to build, they will often go to app dev first. Sometimes they need the engineers to build something as well. And finally, when we build something new, that will go through change and release as well. So that's like my request to fulfillment or my innovation value stream. So we've got two different value streams. One of you will be the service manager, responsible for the service level agreements and continual improvement, making sure we are continually delivering value to our business stakeholders. When we go into the Mural room, which is where the game is, shortly, it looks like a classroom with different tabletops. And each of you will have your own tabletop with lots of cards you need to play the game. And in the middle is our visual management board. I'll talk about this a little bit more now. When you go in the room, you can click on various buttons and that will allow you to look at your role in the game. We'll do that in a minute. When you look at your tabletop, there are different types of cards. Everybody has a role description. Important things to know are some people will be bringing work into the game, demands and opportunities. They come into the game. Somebody's asking us to do something. Other types of cards, the very small ones, are actions people need to do to complete one of these projects. An important concept is this. Different roles in the game have what we call a work in progress board, a WIP board. And this shows how much work can this role do in each game round. So here you can see systems engineer can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different actions in each game round. However, when we start, 2 of them are already blocked. This is what we call waste. Things like supporting legacy systems, spending lots of time doing manual releases. This is non-value adding activity that we'd like to get rid of. And we can get rid of these in the game because the service manager has a number of service improvement projects which we could do to get rid of this waste. But doing service improvement projects will also require us spending time to do them. So these are some of the types of cards you will see. How do we know we're successful? Well, the product owner knows exactly what are the goals we're trying to achieve. The person playing my flight operations director has the flight plan. This person knows exactly in every game round 1, 2, 3, what should now be happening. And if it's not happening, this person knows exactly what is the risk to the business, how much damage could it do. And finally, the service manager has the service level agreement. How does the game work? We'll show a quick practice later on. The way the game works is this. Like I said, lots of people will be bringing work into the game, just like a real IT organization. The product owner will be asking us to build new applications or giving us negative customer feedback that needs fixing. The flight operations will be giving us issues or incidents to solve. The service desk might be getting automated events coming from the spacecraft that need fixing. The systems engineer might be asking us to solve problems that keep causing incidents to come back again and again. The systems engineer may be giving us new service management tools that we can install, like automated event monitoring. The service manager will be giving us service improvement projects to do, just like reality. Lots and lots of demands and opportunities. We can't do them all, so somebody will need to prioritize them and decide which work are we going to do in this game round or this sprint. So we'll decide what we're going to do. Then what would happen in the game? Each of the roles in the game, app dev, systems engineer, vendor, will look at their tiny action cards to see if they are needed to do this project. So here you can see the product owner has asked us to build an application because it's going to make lots of money. Application to show data from Hardy 4. App dev finds a card with exactly the same name. Application to show data from Hardy 4. So app dev in the game says, if you want this project, I will need to do this action. And they'll put that action card on the board. Here you see the vendor finds a card with exactly the same name. Application to show data from Hardy 4. So the vendor will also be needed to complete this project. So these cards will go on the board. But sometimes in the game, just like reality, there are dependencies. For example, application, it may say, ask the system engineer to upload X15 files. So this person in the game will be talking to this person in the game, saying, hey, you need to upload X15 files. So this card will go on the board as well. Hopefully now we found the complete set of actions and activities or service design package of everything that needs to happen in order to complete this project. Then the change manager in the game will have a quality checklist. And for every piece of work in the game, this tells you what is the checksum. Now the checksum is simply a number, and that number is the total value of all of the action cards. So here we can see request 1, the checksum is 11. 6, add 4, add 1 is 11. So the change manager now knows this is the correct package of work for this project. So then what the change manager or somebody can do is move the request ready now to deploy. We know exactly what we need to do to build this. Finally, each of the roles in the game now puts their action card onto their work in progress board. So the systems engineer will put the action on their board, which now shows the system engineer is now using one of their 5 slots to do this action, which means they only have 2 slots left to do 2 other actions in this game round. The same, the vendor will put their card onto their whip board. App dev will put theirs on here. This shows that these 3 people are now doing this action. And finally, the change manager will put the request onto their change board to show at the end of the game round this will now be deployed into live use. So that's the way the game works. I won't go too much now into the blockers, but you can get rid of these by starting a service improvement project or installing some new emerging technology. There's also problems in the game, and if they're not solved, they may cause incidents and events to keep coming back again and again and again. And every time we solve one, it costs a lot of time and effort and actions to solve. We could decide, let's just solve the problem to stop them coming back in again. But solving a problem will also require different people to do lots of actions to solve the problem. Finally, how do we know we're successful? At the end of each game round, we will measure what work did you do, and we will see whether it's generated revenue, improved customer satisfaction, or it's increased our risks. If we don't solve things in time or don't do projects on time, we may lose money. We may lose customer satisfaction. And if the risks become too high, we may need to abort the mission. So that's what we'll be doing in the game. What I'm now going to do is I'm going to try to find out, stop sharing, get rid of this. I now need to find out how I can actually get back to the main screen.
While you're doing, Paul, I just have a remark to the delegates. Should you have questions during the session, please type them into the chat board, and I will come back to that later and answer them to you via email, or maybe later on after Paul has done his demo.
Right, I'm now going to put something into the chat. So if you can all look at the chat function, I've put in a link to the Mural room. So I'd like you all to copy that link, click on it. It will give you a visitor screen. Just please put your name in so that I know who's coming into the room. So see if you can copy that. Click on it, and you should start coming into the Mural room. And I can see some people coming in already. Yeah, so you need to click on this menu item 9 here. And if you click on that, you should see exactly what I'm looking at, which is the service desk. So hopefully now everybody is looking at this service desk in their Mural board. Now watch what I do. Somebody's already done it, so please don't do anything yet. If you look at my shared screen again, if I double click with my left mouse on a blank area of screen, I get a post-it, and I can change the color of the post-it. I can type in my name in the post-it. I can make it bigger. I can change the text size. If I finished, I press escape button. I'd like you all to see if you can create a post-it note. So try to make sure you're in menu item 9. I can see lots of post-it notes, which is good. And put your name in the post-it note so that we know everybody is able to make a post-it. And make it bigger so that we can read it. Make the text, Renee did it. Chandra's made a massive, great post-it there, which is good. Yasser's made one and made the color and the text bigger. Eppo's made one. Mercy, are you able to make one? If you can unmute yourself. Oh yeah, Mercy, that. Yeah, well done. Okay, so everybody now knows how to create a post-it, which is important for the game. Right, now what I'd like you to do is click on your post-it and press the delete button. Let's get rid of them. Let's get rid of those post-its. If you get rid of that EPO. Now I'll show you something new. So if you look at my screen, now we can't read this, it's too small. Down here on the bottom, you've got this transparent menu. If I click on plus and again, it zooms in. If I click on the minus, it zooms out. Or I can drag this bar right and left, and it zooms in and zooms out. If you zoom in too far, watch what I do. If I click once with my left mouse on a blank area of screen and hold the mouse down, I can move the screen up, down, left, right. Then I could zoom in again so that I can now read this card. And now I can zoom out again. I'd like you all to go to the room, practice zooming in, zooming out. Click once with your left mouse on a blank area of screen, hold the mouse down and see if you can move the screen left and right, left, up and down. If you can't do it, please unmute yourself and say, Paul, sorry, that's not working. I can't have the time to ask every single person every single time, is this working for you, Renee? Is this working for you, Anand? And somebody's made a nice post-it for us here.
Sure. So Paul, I'm able to zoom in and out.
Yeah.
Easily, working for me. Thank you.
You can, okay, good. Okay, and somebody said here, you can zoom in, zoom out using the scroll wheel if you have a mouse. I just have a touchpad. So practice what works for you on your computer. But we must all be able to zoom in, zoom out, and move the screen around. Right. Now, if you look at my shared screen again, I'll show you something new. We know that if you double click on a blank area of screen, you get a post-it. Some of the cards you see, the very small ones, are what are called movable objects. If I double click with my left mouse on a movable object, it opens a brand new tab, a new window. And now I can read the card. If I finished with the card, I close just that tab. Here's something else. If you click with your left mouse on a blank area of screen and hold it down, we know we can move the whole screen up and down. If you click once with your left mouse on a movable card, hold your mouse down, then only the card moves. So I'd like you to all practice moving one of these very small cards and then put it back exactly where you found it, exactly where you found it. Put it back exactly where you found it. And I'd like you to try to double click on a small card to see if you can open a new tab to read the card. And then when you finish reading it, just close that tab. And again, if it's not working, tell me. This is very important functionality, moving cards, double clicking on them so that you can read them. So you can see there's two ways to read a card. You could use the zoom function and move the screen around. And if you look at my shared screen, I can read all of those cards. Or you could just double click on a card to open it. So there's two ways to read a card. If you look at some of these cards, which Chandra just learnt, so if you can escape, press the escape button, Chandra, and I'll delete that. Some of the cards are not movable cards. That means if you double click on a big card, you just get a post-it. because it's not one of the movable cards. So the only way you can read one of the big cards is use the zoom function to zoom in. We could have made them movable, but then we find that people are losing cards all the time. So we only actually let you move the cards that we need to move, such as the action cards. Now we know all of the basic functionality for Mural. One last thing, don't do this, please, just watch me. If you move a card and it disappears, or you accidentally delete a card, up here, top left next to team board, there is the undo button. If I press undo, it will put the card back again. So if you lose anything, just do the undo button. Right, now we know how Mural works. Now we're going to practice the game. How does the game work? Normally, if we were going to play the game, the first game round, you have 25 minutes to do as much work as possible. And in the 25 minutes, I need to show you now, how does that work? But before we do that, I'd like you all to choose a role, go into that role by clicking on the menu or zooming, and I'd like you to put your name in on the role that you want to play for this exercise. So please, as quickly as you can, quickly put, so Renee's already put the name there for the service desk. So I'll make that a bit bigger so I can see it. Renee's going to be my service desk. If you can all select one of the roles, put your name in it. So Renee looks like is the only person who's chosen a role. Oh, Eppo is going to be the change manager. So Mercy, Yasser, and Anand, if you could just put your name in one of the roles. I'd like one of you to put your name in. Oh, there's Yasser, well done. So Yasser is going to be my product owner. Chandra's going to be my service manager. Looks like Anand maybe is going to be my flight operations. So if you could put your name in there, Anand.
Sure, I'm trying to.
Okay, I'll just do it for you for speed.
Oh yeah, I just did.
Yeah. So we let everybody choose which role they're going to play. So has everybody chosen a role? Looks like we don't have anybody here for app dev. So I'll ask maybe Eppo to do that in a minute as well. Have we got somebody for the systems engineer? No. So we need somebody over here as well. How many people have we got? So I'll do this one then. Right. So first we get everybody to get a role. Now what we do is we show people what's going to happen in each game round, 25 minutes. So if you look at my shared screen, I'll now show you how the game works. So I'm going to zoom in to this yellow post-it note. The first thing we need to do in each game round is fill the backlog. That's this column here, the backlog. So everybody who has work to bring into the game puts it onto the backlog. Now there's only two we have here at the moment, one from Yasser and one here by Anand, because we're just practicing now. So Yasser and Anand, I'd like you to put your work into the backlog. See if you can do that.
Sure, Paul.
There you go. So Yasser's put his work into the backlog. Anand, see if you can get your issue next to your name and put it into the backlog. So I'll put it over here. It needs to go into the backlog. So this is the first thing that we do in each game round. Fill the backlog. Now for the practice, there's only 2. In the real game, there may be 8 or 9 or 10. So the next thing we have to do is we have to prioritize. So somebody needs to prioritize the work. And we're going to practice doing that in a minute, just to show you how the game works. For the purpose of this practice, let's pretend we're now going to prioritize this one. So Yasser wants us to do this. So I will do this to make it quicker. If you look at my shared screen, this is what Yasser, as product owner, wants us to do. Build an application to show data from Hardy 4 on PC screens. So now each role in the game needs to look to see if they have an action card for this project. So Eppo, if you can first look as app dev, see if you've got an action. Rene, just to practice today, Rene, can you just, you don't have one at the service desk, but Rene, if you can just go down to the vendor, right down here at the bottom, the green one, and see if you can find a card. It's probably the top one. Application to show data from Hardy 4 on PC screens. And see if you can put it into your column on the board. And Eppo as well, if you can put yours up there. So this is how the game was being played. Okay, so he's put it in the wrong place. So we put it over here, the vendor. Right, so what we've now done in the game round is lots of work on the backlog. Somebody's prioritized the work, told us what it is, app to show data from Hardy 4. Eppo found a card and said, I need to do this action. Rene did the vendor and said, the vendor needs to do this action. So if I look at my yellow sticky post-it here now, the next action is check quality. So now the change manager needs to do something. So if you all click on menu item 8, change manager, we can all do what Eppo will now need to do as change manager. So what you do is you zoom into the quality checklist and we look at the checksum for request 1. So Eppo, what is the checksum for request 1?
It's 11.
11.
Yep.
So we go back to the visualization board. You can all do this so that we can practice. Zoom in and tell me, what do those 2 action cards actually add up to?
Yeah, they add up to 7, Paul.
7. And what should the checksum be?
Yeah, 11. So
11.
somebody has been
So,
sleeping. Let
yep.
me see.
So the change manager would say, I can't deploy this work yet because this package of work is not complete. We are missing something. But either we chose the wrong card, or if you look at my shared screen, the change manager will now have to ask everybody, did you do the right thing? And if we look at this.
Wait a minute, Paul. I see something on my application card.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have to ask us. I didn't read this. Sorry. I have to ask the system engineer to upload the X15 files.
Ah.
Aha.
So then the systems engineer would need to find that card and put it onto the board.
So that is you, system engineer.
Yeah. So there you go.
I didn't read that.
Okay.
Sorry.
So once again, now the change manager has to check the quality again. Is it now complete?
Let me have a check. This 4, and we did have 7. So yeah, 11 is what it should be, and
okay.
It's 11 now. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So now we know that's complete. Now somebody can move this. That's what it says on the yellow sticky post-it note. Now we can move it ready to deploy. And finally, The very last action now in the game is now each of these roles must move their action card onto their work in progress board to show they are now doing the action. So there you see, Eppo puts that one there, I put this one here, and the vendor puts this one here. And finally, the change manager can now say, okay, everybody's done the work, apps built the application, systems engineers updated the system, the vendors updated the backups. This can now be deployed. And that stays there now until the end of the game round. And at the end of the game round, I as game leader will look, what do you think you've deployed? Oh, you think you've deployed this one. And then I will check. Did Eppo do the action? Yes. Did the system engineer do it? Yes. Did the vendor do it? Yes. That project is absolutely successful. And what I would then do as game leader is I would type it into my scoring tool, and hopefully then we will see the revenue going up, the customer satisfaction going up, and the risks staying low. That is the way the game works. Now, what we would normally do if we are playing the game is we would now give the team 20 minutes, because what we tell them is that small practice you did took about 10 minutes. Now, we only have 25 minutes when we play the game round. If every piece of work takes 10 minutes, we're only going to be able to do 2, maximum 3 bits of work in the game round. So we normally give the team 20 minutes now to agree and discuss how are we going to work together? Who puts work into the backlog? Who prioritizes the workload? Who coordinates that everybody's done their actions? Who checks the quality? Who will now move it to deploy? Who will now coordinate that everybody does the work? So in reality, we're now asking them, design now your end-to-end value stream of activities. Who does what in order to get an opportunity or a demand all the way through to a product in live use? So that's what we would normally ask the team to do. We don't have time today, but here you would see that people would be confused, who does what, and they'd be discussing and arguing. And then we would actually start sprint 1. And what we would do in sprint 1 is this, and I'm going to give you a task to do in a minute. We would now give them all of the work that comes in sprint 1, and we would give them now 25 minutes. And this is what would happen. This needs to be done. No, yes, so leave that one back there. That one's one that we've just finished. That one's finished. These 2 come in. These 2 issues come in. And these 2 events come in. And maybe the service manager will also put in a service improvement project to try to get rid of a blocker. So I'm now going to let you actually practice. I'm going to give you 10 minutes to discuss this. Who and how are you now going to prioritize the work? Because you can see the change manager's already doing this one. So we can only do 1, 2, 3 other pieces of work. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So which of these 3 would you now put into the sprint backlog to say we must do that work in this sprint? So guys, go ahead, unmute yourself. Yasser's my product owner. Anand is flight. Chandra is a service manager. Rene's a service desk, who's just put 2 events in. Discuss now. Where is Mercy? Mercy, where are you? Are you on mute, Mercy? Mercy, can you hear me? Are you still there?
Yeah, Mercy is there.
Is she on mute?
I will step away for a few. My kid needs my attention, please. So she has a domestic issue
Okay.
at home. Yeah. So,
Okay. Okay, so team, you carry on now. Have a discussion. Discuss now as a team, which 3 pieces of work are you now going to prioritize? You can zoom in, so you can zoom in on the screen, or you can double click on each one to see what it is. I'm going to give you just 10 minutes to decide real quick, what 3 pieces of work will you do? So talk amongst yourselves as a team.
Okay. I see a couple of nice to haves, but there are also a couple of issues. Like there is one issue: flight operations, no communication with Marslander and spacecraft.
Indeed.
I think that might be an interesting one.
Yes.
And there's a communication error just below that one, and a data communication outage. So we have to prioritize the nice to haves, but also the ones that really need to be solved.
Yep.
We also are drifting away, I see. The last one, spacecraft is not on the right course.
Yeah.
So I see the flight operation side, all these 3 or 4 issues are going to take precedence in that case.
Okay, who said that?
Along with service desk issue, which is drifting off course.
Okay, who said that? Who's that speaking?
That's me, Anand.
Oh, Anand. So which role are you, Anand?
So I am
Flight operations. Yep.
Flight
Yeah.
operations.
Okay.
And flight operations side, I think the main issue should take precedence is not from the flight operation, but first this event needs to be resolved, which is spacecraft is not on the right course.
Okay.
That's
So that's
a major issue.
That's what Anand thinks. Chandra,
So,
what do you think?
case,
You're the service manager.
So I'm looking mainly from customer feedback standpoint.
Okay. So what do you think we should do first?
Okay.
So Chandra, what do you think we should do first?
First, we need to look into the flight operations, the issue with the flight operations.
Okay, so you're happy to do the flight operations.
Yeah.
Yasser, you're my product owner. Which work do you think we should prioritize?
Issues always has highest priority. So of course, flight operation will be most important.
Okay, so we're going to solve all the issues. Is that correct?
Yes.
so Paul, in this case, who is the one who makes the final decision? Because I can think together with you guys because I'm the service desk, but I'm not making the decision. So who in the end makes the decision to put this on the next position to handle?
Yeah, exactly. Good question. That's what I'm trying to find out from you guys. How do you now
product owner?
How do you prioritize work? And it looks like this team said, I heard somebody actually say it, issues always get priority. So it looks like somebody's decided that the most valuable thing this company does is solve issues. Somebody said the product owner should prioritize. So product owner. Yasser, which work are you going to prioritize? You said the issues as well?
Yes, this is true. Always issue has priority more than the new request,
Okay.
but the impact will be bigger.
Okay, so there you go, guys. Here's a small exercise of what is happening in this game. Okay, now I know, so basically you don't have a priority mechanism, correct?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Basically, you haven't got a clue what value we're trying to deliver. So somebody's made an assumption, oh, all of the issues get priority. Issues always get priority. And we're not going to do one of the revenue generating projects. So that's the first thing that people do. Then we let them run all the work. And at the end of the game round, we stop. And we get everybody to come here. Menu item 17, reflection board. And at the end of the game round, we get them to come in here. So if you look at my shared screen, and we ask everybody, I want you all to make 2 sticky post-it notes and put your name in it and put it up here. What is working well? What do we need to improve? Are there any unanswered questions? And are there any ideas we can try? Now I'll show you some ITIL 4 theory, because the whole purpose of this game is to teach them ITIL 4. And I'll show you. So if you look at my shared screen, this is what we're now doing. We are now starting where we are. We played a little round, and now we have to find out. What we're now doing is this: progress iteratively with feedback. I'm asking you, give me your feedback. What worked well? What needs improving? Are there any unanswered questions? And in a minute, we're going to try 3 new ideas we can try to make things better, 3 new ideas to progress iteratively. The other thing we're doing is this: collaborate and promote visibility. We are all end-to-end flight ops, product owner, service manager, engineers, app dev, all of us getting together to promote visibility. I said, make a sticky post-it note and put your name in it, telling us what your feedback is. And what I want you to think about is this. This is the most important guiding principle of them all. Focus on value. So when you make your sticky post-it notes, think about that. Do we know what value is? Do we have a priority mechanism that's linked to value? So this is where we would ask the team to fill in sticky post-it notes. So I'd like you all to fill 1 in. What do we need to work on? Everybody make 1 post-it note. And as game leader or mission director, I always make 2. So we would ask everybody. No, I don't want to know which issues you need to work on, Anand.
Oh, okay.
What not issues, we know what issues. What do we need to work on in terms of behavior, agreements? Apparently we need to work on this, a priority mechanism, because as someone
Right.
said, we don't know, we don't have a priority mechanism. So
Okay.
here, unclear who coordinates the work. Unclear, do we understand what risk is? So what we're trying to capture in feedback is, what is stopping us doing our work that needs improving. Now, I always put 2 sticky post-it notes on the board, because these 2 sticky post-it notes are the whole purpose of ITIL 4. These 2 post-it notes describe exactly what is different in ITIL 4 to any other ITIL, and these 2 post-it notes are also exactly what Agile, DevOps is trying to do and what ITIL 4 is trying to do. The first question is this: do you even know what the goals are? Because ITIL is all about value, service value system, service value chains, service value streams. That means it's all about value. If you don't know the goals, how can you possibly prioritize your work? It's impossible if you don't know what value are you trying to deliver. You made lots and lots of assumptions. Oh, issues are always important. Oh, I think we should be doing this first. The second question, is work flowing smoothly? And often at the end of the first game round, you'll have lots of sticky post-it notes up here saying roles are unclear, no priority mechanism. I'll show you a game from last week shortly. In fact, I'll open it now. No, I'll show you shortly. So we try to capture now feedback from everybody. What needs improving? What are we doing well? And we look at these questions. Now we give them some more feedback, which is now ITIL theory. And I'm now going to give you some ITIL theory as part of this masterclass and to show you what we teach teams. This to me is the best model that ever came out of ITIL. Like I said, I was an author for version 2. I was in the advisory group for 3. I was in architect team for practitioner. This is brilliant. This model, let's start here. The most important word in this model is this word value. And as you can see, you guys at the moment don't know what value is. You've got no idea. You're just guessing what you think you need to do. Next, there's always too much work, always. And you can see in the game, product owner wants value and outcomes, revenue growth, increased customer satisfaction. So remember the definition of a service according to ITIL? Value, outcomes, costs and risks. The product owner wants value and outcomes, revenue. Flight operations wants to manage risks, availability, reliability. The service manager wants to achieve the service level agreements and do some continual improvement. But we can't do them all. You've got to focus on value. Now, the only way you can solve this problem, too much work, unclear value, starts here with the guiding principles. That's the most important part of this model, is the outside. And it starts with the guiding principles. And one of them is focus on value. So really we have to ask ourselves, what does focus on value look like? What behavior will we see that demonstrates focus on value? For example, did the business share with us their goals? Did IT ask the business, what are your goals? What value are you trying to achieve? When IT had too many opportunities or demands, did they ask the business, we've got too much work, which one delivers the most value? Did they ask, if we don't do this one, what is its impact on value? None of us did that, because at the moment, these are just meaningless words. They have to be translated into behavior. The other guiding principle is this one. We know we're never perfect. That means we always need to keep getting feedback. What's working well, what needs improving. And we always need to prioritize very small steps to make things better all the time. Progress iteratively with feedback. So that's the guiding principles. Next, we know we can't do all of the work that's given to us. That's because somewhere in here, there are things like legacy systems, manual releases, inefficiencies, things not working. There is always the need for continual improvement. And as you can see in the game, there are lots of blockers in the game. Waste, things that are stopping us. But we didn't know what they were. The service manager put a service improvement project on the board, but nobody prioritized it. The only way you can now deal with conflicts between value and outcomes, risks, and getting rid of wasted costs is by having a governance mechanism, which is what I think Renee was asking. Wait a minute, we got too much work. How do we prioritize? What work gets the highest priority? If you don't have a governance mechanism, the only thing that happens is either you make assumptions like you guys did, or whoever's got the biggest mouth will get their work done first. Next, ITIL talks about value and outcomes and costs and risks. As mission director, I am tired of everybody in IT and ITIL using the word value. None of you knows what it means. Basically, value is the positive impacts of value creation work, such as increased revenue, improved customer satisfaction, minus the demonstrated measurable impact on value leakage, such as issues, events, problems, negative customer feedback, plus whatever benefits we get from doing improvement work. Improvement work should either get rid of value leakage or increase the ability to do more value creation. So really, value is this. Value equals the positive impact of value creation work minus the negative impact of value leakage plus the benefits from doing this. And the only thing you thought was valuable is let's solve as many issues as possible and let's not bother doing this, which makes me as mission director extremely angry, and I'll show you why. So really we need to understand this. Let's now see, and this is what we teach people in the next game round. Let's see if we can translate this into some visualization. For example, the only thing we know now is this: to do, doing, done. Maybe we should actually make a portfolio of work to be done. What is all of the backlog of work? What's the value creating projects, the value leakage projects, and the value improvement projects? That's the first thing we need to do. Next, we need to ask ourselves, why can't we do more? Now we know there were lots of blockers in the game, waste, but we never visualize them. So we now need to visualize which role has got blockers, because we'll be able to see, I'll show you here, the systems engineer has got 2 of them. So that means the systems engineer should be able to do 6, but every sprint, 2 of them are blocked. That means 30% of everything the systems engineer does is waste. So we need to visualize that. Manual releases, waste. Manual workarounds, waste, 30%. We'll see that app dev has also got 20%. Vendor, 1 out of 3, 30%. So really we need to visualize how much waste and continual improvement opportunities do we have. That's the next thing we can visualize. And finally, we know we can't do everything. And that means we have to prioritize. So the question is, what does value look like? And it's already in the game and none of you found out. So I'll show you what's in the game. We were all guessing, saying issues are the most important. Let's have a look at one of them. No communication with Marslander in the spacecraft. When do we actually use the Marslander? That's the tiny car, the Marslander. When do we use it? Anybody?
When we land?
When are we landing in this game?
In the end, not
in the end. In
first.
the end. So the question is, why are we solving this now? We have to understand this. And the only way we can find out is to talk to the business. What are the critical business moments? Sprint 1, 2, 3. What are the critical business functions? Then we need to know, it'll update in a minute, it's just a bit slow. Then we need to know, you see, we only need Marslander in Sprint 3. So why are we solving the issue now? The other thing we need to know is, what is its risk? How much damage can it do to the business? Is it worth solving urgently? You made an enormous assumption, issues always go first. If I let you do the work you wanted to do, I got a whole load of issues solved that are not needed until the end of the game. Meanwhile, my revenue generating projects have been ignored. My customer feedback has been ignored, and nobody thought of doing a service improvement project to get rid of waste. Now, the other thing we need to know is, what are the goals? And if you look in the game, the product owner knows exactly what the mission goals are. Game round 1, meet the Hardy 4 comet, collect data. The product owner also knows sales growth, 1.5 million. Customer satisfaction has to go up by 15. Risk indicator must be less than 20. So really, the only way we can prioritize our work is to talk to the business. That's why the definition of a service according to ITIL in version 4 or 4 of ITIL is the co-creation of value, outcomes, costs, and risks. That means we must talk to the business. Which work delivers the most value? What are your goals? He knows. Revenue growth, customer satisfaction. If customer satisfaction is important, if we don't solve the customer feedback, we're losing money and losing customer satisfaction. That would have helped us prioritize the work. If we'd co-created with flight operations, hey, flight operations, we've got all of these issues. Which ones must be solved now in this sprint? Which ones could we leave until later. These are examples of focus on value. Ask questions, engage, understand the goals, understand the risks. So this is what we would give people now as additional theory. Then we would go back into the reflection board and say to them, right, now I'll give you 20 minutes and I want you to make some green sticky post-it notes. What are the 3 maximum 4 improvements you are going to make before we play the next game round? Think of improvements that you can do to show that we know the goals, improvements we can do to speed up the flow of work, and improvements we can do to get rid of the negative feedback. Progress iteratively using feedback. That's what ITIL is all about. And now I'll show you a quick one. I'll show you an example of yesterday. Here's my ITSM one. Let's have a look. Because you've got lots of games going on here. No, we'll do that one. So I'll show you what will then generally be happening as the day progresses when you play. As the day progresses, you will see that the team will do some improvement actions. And then at the end of the next game round, we will ask them, are those improvement actions now working well? So can we move it here? Or is it something we still need to work on? So again, we're capturing feedback. Did the ideas we have for progress iteratively make a difference? And by the end of the day, you'll see this. The end of the day, by doing continual feedback and iterative improvements, the team is actually visualizing, look how much we've improved. Look how much better we're getting. This is what we're now doing well. But the most important thing is it making a difference to value? And each game round, we measure the value. Every time they do iterative improvements, we want to see revenue going up, customer satisfaction going up, and we want to see risks staying in the green zone. Here you can see in the last game round, the team decided to accept this level of risk. They knew exactly which incidents can we leave open because they're not going to damage the business. And they knew so long as we stay in the green, we're prepared to accept that risk, non-mission critical risk. We're accepting not solving issues so that we can maximize revenue and customer satisfaction. So each game round, or in reality, each sprint, the team was continually engaging with the business, focusing on value. What's the most important value we can realize? And they were planning their work accordingly. And as you can see, as the game progresses, they visualized work. What needs to be done in sprint 3? What are the goals for sprint 3? What needs to be done in sprint 2? What are the goals for sprint 2? So here you can see an example. They also put the goals on the board. This is an example of collaborate, promote visibility, focus on value. By having this visual and visible to everybody, they could make very fast decisions. Because remember, that's what ITIL is all about. Value, fast delivery of value. And the only way you get fast delivery of value, continual improvement, progress iteratively with feedback, and continually focus, what are the goals, what are the value. That's what we teach people throughout the day. And then the most important part of the whole day, the whole purpose of the whole game is this. At the end of the day, we ask people, what did I learn or discover? What can I take away and use in my day-to-day work? What actions do we as a team need to take away? These are actions that a manager can agree with every individual in the training, and these are actions that go into a continual improvement project within the organization. This is what the whole day leads up to. Now, unfortunately, we didn't get time to play the game, but we just experienced the types of mistakes you made, not knowing about risk, not knowing critical business moments, not engaging with the business, not knowing what the goals were, not having a proper priority mechanism, not having visibility into the work, not understanding where all the blockers are, not prioritizing improvement work. So we've learned lots of new things about how you actually use ITIL. How do you use this model? How do you translate these into behaviors? How can you visualize the different types of value creating work? How can you visualize a backlog of work to enable decision making? So based upon that, I'd like you all to go to menu item 17 and make a sticky post-it note just in this box here. What did you learn or discover about ITIL 4 in this 2-hour mini exercise? And normally it's a full day. So if you could all make some sticky post-it notes. Eppo, you need to do an undo now. Type undo, if that's visiting Spider. And if you put it back on top of it, it's okay. So if I can ask everybody, Chananda, Anand, Renee, Mercy, if you're still there, make a sticky post-it note. What did you learn today about ITIL 4? I'll put that one back as well. And Renee, if you can make one as well and stick your name in it so we can see who's made one. And again, this is an example of feedback and capturing things that people can take away to progress iteratively. This is ITIL 4 in action. So Chandra's got one there, revisit the basics of the guiding principles and the service value system model. Now you can see how they should be used. Many people complain they are so theoretical. We don't know what are you supposed to do with them. And here teams learn exactly how progressive iterative feedback works. How do you do it? So Yasser, have you got anything that you've typed in? I can see you still have hold of this sticky post-it note, Yasser.
Paul,
Yeah.
what has happened if I can't create a sticky note? I'm
Okay.
pressing all the keys, but it doesn't show up as a sticky note.
Okay. Another option you can do with sticky notes is you can click on one of the existing ones. Can you do that?
No, it doesn't give me control. It
Are
is
you,
as if is this a locked screen.
are you looking at the shared screen or are you in the Mural room?
I'm in the what is it, the team board.
Yeah, if you're in the team board, but I'm saying, are you looking at my shared screen or are you actually in the Mural team room?
I'm in the real team room, and I can
Okay.
also see your shared screen.
Okay. The other thing is, if you go on to the left, can you see this menu on the left?
No.
If you look at my shared screen, can you see this menu?
Yeah, I
on
can
the
see
left?
it on your shared screen, but I don't have a left menu.
So what are you looking at then? What do you see?
I see now, I'm now actually looking at the transfer of knowledge board because I zoomed in, but if I zoom out, I can see the whole screen actually.
Yep, that's
The
right. Yeah.
Marslander screen.
And if you double click here, what happens?
Nothing. I can't click anywhere.
Okay.
I only can zoom in and out.
You probably won't need to come out of the link and come back in again. But rather than do that to waste time, I'll make a post-it for you. And what is it you want me to type in there?
Well, I can put it in the chat if you want, because I have a bunch of sticky notes.
Oh, that's a bit of a shame. No, I'm trying to think. Maybe it's best if you can try to do a Control and R for control and refresh.
Mm-hmm.
And it may take a little while to load the screen again. Is that working?
Yeah, it's now bringing me back to the login screen. Welcome to Mural.
Ah, so it looks like you'd fallen out of Mural then.
Okay, can I log in again with the same name?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it looks like you were no longer in Mural. That's why you couldn't do anything. Because if you do a control and refresh, it should just refresh the screen.
Okay, let me see. Yeah, now I can make a sticky note. Yep.
Okay, so you go
Thanks.
ahead and make a sticky notes. So we got a few sticky post-its over here. Have clear goals on value. Value and risks and relate it with benefits and consequences. Okay, so it looks like people have got some good learning points to take away. And it looks like some people are actually writing down what they can take away and use in their daily work. And this is the whole purpose of the game. Everything you do in the 8-hour or the 4-hour game is all focused on this one board. What did we learn? What can we take away and apply? What do we as a team need to take away and apply? So CIOs see this as a very valuable tool for engaging with their employees, for empowering their employees to give feedback and to identify a way to progress iteratively at a personal level and at a team level. This is ITIL 4 in action. That's how you use ITIL 4. So you managed to make a sticky there, Rene?
Well, a question.
Yeah.
What action we are going to take? So that this particular quadrant is related with our simulation only or in general?
In general. Now, what
Okay.
did you learn today in this simulation that you now need to take away in your company?
Oh, okay.
That's what we want people to do. And you'll often get people put down here. I now need to go back and speak to our different business stakeholders to find out what value looks like.
Right.
I need to take away and visualize on our own team boards, what are the goals? Because not everybody knows the goals. I need to take away and re-look at our priority mechanism. Is our priority mechanism actually related to business risks? Do we understand enough about the critical business moments and the critical business functions to have the correct priority mechanism? These are all things that people learn and take away as concrete actions.
And if I might add to that, Paul and Arnold, this is typically what we would cover in our outtake when we visit you after we've done the game, and we share that with the company or with the individuals or with the team in order to, let's say, to have a follow-up of the simulation in real life. I've done hundreds of these type of games where at the end, the result or the outcome of the games are used in improvement plans or for the next year or so, or even in strategic changes in the organization. Do you remember what we experienced during the game that we did early this year? Yes, I do remember. What was one of your learning points? Well, one of my learning points was this and this and this. Let's put it on our let's say weekly plan board and see if we're actually doing things that we experienced in the game early this year, and how we are growing as an organization or as a team or as an individual based on the outcomes of this game. So I agree with Paul very much. When I said this early, we don't sell a game to you, means that basically the outcome is the most important thing of the experience that you have during the game, and there we can build on top of that.
And the other thing, as Eppo said, these actions, I would then tend to discuss with the sponsor of the game afterwards and say, okay, who now owns that action? Are you going to give it to a line manager? Are you going to give it to a team? Is it going to be part of a service improvement project? Is it going to go into the project as an action list? And I also ask at the same time, can you do this? Do you actually have the skills and capabilities to do this? Because you can see in the game, teams were unable to do this without coaching. If they didn't have somebody to coach them, they are so immature, they cannot do this on their own. Nice actions, but how are you now going to embed them into your daily work? And that's the discussion that a consultant should have, or any manager that plays this game with the team, is to discuss how do we now embed this? Otherwise, it's just been a nice day, but basically a total waste of time. Now, sorry that I say this to any training company. This is what a lot of foundation training is. It's a waste of time. They learn to pass the exam, but nobody captures at the end of it. What did you learn? What are you personally going to do differently? And what can you take away back to your company after the foundation training that we can immediately start to do differently? So this concept applies to any training. It's just that we've actually now let them feel what happens when you apply the stuff. So there you go. Thanks for taking part. I realize it was just 2 hours, very quick, just to give you a feel of the game and show you the types of learning you can get from it. I'll hand it back to Eppo now, so Eppo can close out. I'll stop sharing my screen so you can share yours if you want, Eppo. So thanks very much, everybody, for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Paul. That was very insightful again. I just want to, I have no formal closing in terms of sheets or whatsoever, but I would like to hear from the team.
2 hours. But I think it's very good. It gives you a real practical view on how things can go wrong and how you make wrong decisions or no decisions at all. And that makes you aware about, well, this ITIL, and then looking to those 7 guiding principles, for example, they really matter. And this is what the game also shows you. You get the real feeling about that it's something more than just getting the paper, you know, and
Yeah,
then
the
and then
certificate.
still
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
know anything. So this is really good.
I'd just like to give some feedback on precisely what you said there, Rennie. It's a very important point. I played this with a CIO 2 days ago. And after the first sprint, they put all the sticky post-it notes on the board. And I put one other one on there. And I said, how does it feel? New ways of working and a new tool, and you weren't given enough time.
Yeah.
Is it frustrating?
Yeah.
Suddenly she said, I was totally lost. I was frustrated. I was confused. I didn't know what I was doing. And I said, did you tell anybody? And she went quiet.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I said, you didn't, did you? No. Did anybody else in the team ask any of their colleagues at any time? Does everybody know what they're supposed to be doing? Do you feel comfortable with the new ways of working?
Yeah.
Do you understand the tooling? Because I said, agile transformation is totally different to anything we've ever done before. This causes fear, uncertainty, doubt. The only way you know about it now is because I specifically asked you, how does it feel? If I hadn't done that, you would have gone away frustrated, angry, upset, not seeing the value. She suddenly got it and she said, wow, you're right. This is exactly what we've done. We've told everybody you're a Scrum Master, sent them on training, put agile tools in place, Jira in place, not given anybody the time, and never once have we asked their feedback. How does it feel? Are you overwhelmed? What can we do to now help you overcome that feeling? What sort of coaching do you want? What sort of support you want? So you're absolutely right. As the day progresses, we coach teams to overcome that feeling and ask each other, do you want help? Give each other help. And that becomes one of the key learning points. Remote working in COVID times is uncomfortable, confusing, stressful, doubtful, fear. You've got to help teams overcome it. So thanks for that feedback, Rennie.
Yep.
Back to you.
Thank you. Thanks. Anand, can you quickly go and tell what you're feeling about this masterclass is?
Sure. I think it was a really great experience to see how things have changed since I delved into ITIL v3 and transitioned my role outside of it now into a different domain, but still connected, very much connected to the roots.
Yeah.
The fun thing to see for me is that how the paradigm shift has changed to focus only on the process and making more skeleton based approach towards more on the value centric approach.
Yep.
And how it is making sense not only in the domain of IT but also in the every aspect of life. So I could relate it that for many of my customers could take good leverage of this and be able to understand the true value out of it. At once, one thing was a little shocking to me that we ended up prioritizing some things on the board, just like that. Okay, this is the mission, but nobody unfortunately, any one of us was able to collaborate such a way to identify the true goal of it, the true value which we should be focusing on. Yeah. And, it was a kind of a situation, whomsoever is shouting the loudest, they get priority. So the governance, and this is something which is a hard thing to learn for many organizations, for many C-suites and the IT organizations. That shouting is not the way, or there has to be a proper channel to take precedence on any of the tasks. So it's a very practical way of understanding and realigning ourselves, our teams, and our departments to be able to focus on a common value statement and chase it. This is more methodical. And I'm really glad that I'm part of this simulation.
Yeah.
Truly, thank you. Thank you very much.
And exactly, it's like you say, this is so powerful when you can bring real end-to-end stakeholders together from the same organization.
Exactly.
Then it's suddenly an eye-opener. Wow, this is just like daily work. This is what we do. We all dive straight away into doing stuff. Oh, quick, give me that issue. I can solve. Oh, we can solve that problem, rather than taking a step back to say, wait a minute. And for business people, it's great. When you play this with a chief executive officer, they look at the backlog and say, I didn't realize you had so much to do. I thought all you had to do was all the products and features we give you. No, we got these improvement needs, we got problems, we got emerging technologies, we got loads of stuff we have to do. Every time you just tell us your project's the most important, look what gets left lying around.
Yes.
And when we measure the impact each game round, they say, wow, why are we losing all this customer satisfaction? You're not getting rid of legacy technology. You're not solving the technical debt. You're not solving the issues. You didn't find them important enough. So it can be a real eye-opener to, yeah, we really should balance priority, value creation, value leakage, value of improvement. That's the biggest takeaway every C-level manager gets from this game. They write down that formula. Value equals VC minus VL plus VI. And they usually say, we now need to cluster our whole backlog of portfolio, strategic level, tactical level, and even to the operational teams to balance the three different types of work. So thanks for that, Anand.
Yeah, well, the good news, Anand, is that many people, many teams make the same mistake.
Yep.
So don't be bothered about the things that you have seen happening, because about 100% of the teams make the same mistake.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because in IT, we're good at doing. We're really good at doing.
Yeah, we're really good at solving issues.
Yeah.
You want to add some remark, Anand?
Yeah, I have a follow-up question. I mean, I'm a bit curious that the simulation help any organization or any team or any individual to be able to see the true value and how things in different areas, different dependency fall into their respective places and be able to orchestrate a bigger agenda. You know, you'll be able to drive a bigger agenda. So, for example, this simulation is being carried out for an organization where end-to-end stakeholders are there. They will be able to see and be able to find and arrive to this view that the value board, which we did in the last, right? The last section where we put all the post-its and, you know, put our learnings that how we can do day-to-day work and how it's going to help me and what I discovered and what action we are going to take. What is the next step? So realization is one part with the help of the simulation. The next step, which is more critical, that further align among themselves. So is there a way they could refer back something? They could get the similar guidelines and some hand holding, you know, on the, let me articulate in this sense. It's a kind of a consulting exercise to streamline this into it.
That's exactly why we recommend that a consultant plays this together with a trainer, and then the consultant can do the follow-up. Or if you're a training company, I often recommend to the customer who owns any follow-up actions that come out, because I want them in the game.
Sure.
And I want that person to say at the end of the day, right, this is the actions you captured for takeaway. This is how we're now going to carry them forward. And I let the consultant tell them, okay, we're going to have a workshop on Monday, or we're going to make an action list and put it on every board. Every Monday, we're going to come back and discuss the action list again, find out how far we are. So really, you do need a consultant, either from a client organization or a consultant, if you're offering this as a training, who can pick up the spin-off. The only thing I ever do is I just play the game, shake everybody, get the action list at the end and say, right, over to you.
Sure.
One thing I want to add is that it's also, Anand, it's not, we don't offer this product or this game as in our open schedule. So we don't want people from several companies, because the takeaways that is for your organization is for you as a person. And usually we do only every now and then we do open, but it's not targeted towards the outcome. But we only do the game within a set of a organizational change, and we would do it for your organization, and we do it in a different way for your other organization because the goals might be different.
Sure.
Yeah.
Very well. Very well.
Thank you, Anand. I'm wrapping up. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much, Paul, for helping us out and showing the inside of the games that you and GamingWorks do. Thank you, Renee. Thank you, Anand, Chandra, Yasser. Thank you very much. We are a little bit over time, but I will be sending you an email and liaise with you. Also, when you have questions, I have direct contact with GamingWorks and Paul, and we have been able to work a lot of things together in our past 17 years or